There's a brutal truth that no one really prepares you for, but life, in its own way, forces you to face it. She stops texting, stops calling, and suddenly the warmth that once felt close now feels miles away. You're left staring at a silent phone, checking your messages a little too often, waiting for a notification that never comes. And then come the questions. Did I mess up? Was I too much or not enough? But here's the real question, the one that matters more than anything else. What if her silence isn't rejection? What if it's a test? Or better yet, an invitation? Because in that silence, something powerful can happen. You can collapse, or you can wake up. You can chase her, or you can chase your potential. The moment she pulled back may have been the moment you were supposed to pull forward, into your purpose, into your strength, into the version of yourself that no longer waits to be chosen. This isn't a video about winning her back. This is about remembering who the hell you are. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Stop chasing her, start leading yourself. You've been told your whole life that if you try harder, she'll love you more. That if you give enough, show up enough, prove enough, eventually she'll stay. But let's be honest, that's not how it works. The truth is, the harder you chase, the faster she runs. And it's not because you're a bad guy, it's because you flipped the energy. See, women are not drawn to effort. They're drawn to presence, to direction, to the kind of confidence that doesn't need to explain itself. The moment you start chasing, the moment you start bending just to win her approval, something inside her shifts. She feels the imbalance, and even if she doesn't understand it consciously, her instincts pick it up. This man isn't grounded. This man doesn't lead, he followed. And here's where it stings. The more you give without her earning it, the less she values it. You become too available, too easy, too predictable. And in doing so, you lose the very thing that made her curious about you in the first place. Mystery, strength, independence. You don't need to be cold, but you do need to stop placing her at the center of your emotional universe. That's not love. That's imbalance. That's weakness disguised as devotion. Chapter 2. Flip the power dynamic. Every relationship has a current, and when that current always flows from you to her, when you're the one texting first, checking in, making plans, giving without her asking, eventually, she stops swimming. She starts drifting because there's no tension, no polarity, no gravity pulling her toward you. That's not chemistry, that's comfort. And comfort over time kills attraction. Now, here's what most men don't realize. When she pulls back, when she gets distant, it's not always about disinterest. Sometimes it's a subconscious test. She wants to feel your strength without needing to ask for it. She wants to know if you can hold your frame when she shifts her energy. And if you fail that test, by panicking, by chasing, by overcorrecting, she knows you're not grounded. She learns something very important. You need her attention to feel okay. And that's where everything starts to unravel. Power in a relationship isn't about domination. It's about direction. A man who leads his life with purpose, who doesn't flinch when someone pulls away, who stays calm in the face of emotional weather, that man has gravity. He doesn't just attract her, he holds her respect. So when she goes quiet, don't go chasing after the silence. Let it echo. Let it do its work. Use it as a mirror, not to analyze her, but to observe yourself. Are you still solid, still clear on who you are? Or do you vanish the moment she does? That's the shift. That's how the power dynamic begins to change. Not because you took control, but because you never gave it away. Chapter 3. Emotional detachment is strength. Here's where most men lose themselves. When she pulls back, they panic. They start overanalyzing, rereading messages, watching her stories, wondering what went wrong and what they should do to fix it. But here's the truth. The moment you try to fix her silence, you confirm that it controls you. Emotional detachment is not about being cold, it's about being stable. It means you can feel disappointment without reacting from it. It means you can miss her without chasing her. It means you can care without collapsing. When you detach emotionally, you stop making her behavior your compass. You stop measuring your value based on whether she texts you back. You stop showing up like someone who's waiting to be chosen, and you start living like someone who has already chosen himself. Now, I know this isn't easy, especially when you're used to the connection. Especially when you think love means always being available, always showing up, always making her feel secure. But listen closely. Being emotionally available doesn't mean being emotionally vulnerable to anyone who walks away. It means you can be open without being dependent. When she senses that you're not shaken, that your world doesn't crumble because she pulled back, something shifts. She starts to wonder why. She starts to feel the absence not because you withdrew to manipulate her, but because you withdrew to protect your peace. That is a powerful signal. It shows maturity. It shows self-respect. It shows that your life doesn't pause for anyone's silence. So instead of sending another message, instead of checking her social media, instead of reacting, sit still, breathe, recenter, and remind yourself, you are not here to chase, you are here to lead. And leaders don't panic. They stay grounded in truth. No contact isn't a trick. It's a transformation. Let's clear something up right now. No contact isn't about playing games. It's not about pretending you don't care or trying to trigger her fear of loss. No contact is about reclaiming your power by choosing silence over desperation, dignity over drama. When you go no contact, you're not punishing her, you're protecting yourself. You're stepping away from the chaos to rebuild your center. You're removing the noise so you can hear your own voice again. You're creating space not just for her to miss you, but for you to remember what you were before she distracted you from your own growth. Most guys mess this up. They think, if I don't text, she'll move on. But if your connection was ever real, then your silence won't erase it. It will amplify it. Because in today's world, where everyone is constantly connected, the one who chooses to disappear stands out. So what does no contact actually mean? It means no texting, no checking her stories, no liking her photos, no asking mutual friends how she's doing, no sending just thinking of you messages at midnight. You become a ghost, not to spite her, but to return to yourself. And here's the thing, she'll notice. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but she will feel the shift. She'll feel the quiet. She'll feel the energy pull away. And in that silence, she'll start to question what happened. You're no longer validating her. You're no longer feeding the dynamic that drained you. And in that absence, a new version of you begins to form. The man who no longer needs her to feel whole. The man who doesn't fill the void with messages or overthinking. The man who faces silence and turns it into strength. That's the power of no contact. Not because it brings her back, but because it brings you back. Chapter 5. Use heartbreak as fuel. Let's be honest, heartbreak hurts. It hits you in waves, late at night, early in the morning, when a song plays, when a memory hits. And for a while it feels like something in you is breaking over and over again. But what if that pain isn't the end of you? What if it's your ignition? Because here's a truth most men never get taught. Heartbreak, when used right, is one of the most powerful forms of energy you'll ever touch. If you don't let it destroy you, it can rebuild you. Stronger, sharper, more focused, more intentional. Pain is pressure, and pressure, when applied the right way, makes diamonds. Every time you feel the urge to text her, pause. Every time you feel the emptiness, breathe. Every time your mind drifts back to what could have been, redirect that energy into becoming what should have been. You at your highest level. Go to the gym, pick up that book, launch that business idea, build the habits you've been avoiding. Create a life so full of momentum she becomes a footnote, not the main plot. This isn't about revenge. This isn't about making her jealous. This is about using pain as a tool, not a prison. Because here's what no one tells you. The version of you who's hurting right now is the same version with the potential to transform, to level up so hard that even your past self wouldn't recognize you. And when that happens, when you've truly rebuilt, you'll stop asking if she'll come back. You'll be too focused, too evolved, too grounded to care. She won't just remember the man she walked away from. She'll see the man she never expected you to become. And that's the version she can't ignore. Chapter 6, Become Emotionally Unshakable. This is where it all shifts, from reaction to control, from chaos to calm. Because the men who thrive, the men who attract not just women, but respect, opportunities, and power, are the ones who master their emotional world. You see, it's easy to be confident when things go your way. When she texts first. When she shows up excited. When everything feels warm and consistent. But what about when she pulls away? When she stops responding? When her energy changes? When she suddenly becomes cold, distant, or distracted? Most men unravel. They start chasing, second-guessing, overthinking. They start texting more, apologizing for things they didn't even do, overcompensating to pull her back in. And every single one of those moves screams one thing: you are not emotionally grounded. True strength isn't found in how loud you speak. It's found in how quiet you stay when your emotions try to shake you. Emotional strength doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop reacting. It means you feel the wave of emotion and choose not to act out of fear. It means you hear the silence and you don't flinch. It means you see the distance and you don't spiral. You stay centered. You stay calm. You stay focused. That's the kind of presence that magnetizes people. That's the kind of man who doesn't beg to be chosen. He becomes the obvious choice. And women feel it on a deep, instinctive level. Because at the end of the day, she's not just looking for chemistry. She is looking for safety. Not physical safety, emotional safety. Can you hold your frame when the relationship is tested? Can you lead with clarity when she's overwhelmed? Can you stay calm when emotions run hot? If not, she can't trust you. She can like you. She can even be attracted to you. But she will never surrender to a man who is emotionally unstable. So build that calm. Practice that stillness. Not for her, but for you. Because emotional strength doesn't just change relationships. It changes your life. Chapter 7. Let her feel your absence. In a world flooded with constant connection, texts, likes, comments, DMs, your silence becomes the loudest signal. Most men don't understand this. They think the way to make her miss them is by staying visible, by engaging, by showing they still care. But the truth is, when you stop showing up, when you disappear without bitterness or noise, you become the one thing no one can ignore: mystery. Let her feel your absence. Let her wonder where your attention went. Because when you remove your presence and, more importantly, your emotional availability, something powerful begins to happen. She starts to notice. At first, it's subtle. She checks your profile. She rereads old messages. She posts stories you used to react to, hoping you'll slip up and say something. But you do. It's not about punishing her. It's about realignment. It's about shifting the frame from need to value. You're not disappearing to manipulate her. You're disappearing to honor yourself. Because being constantly available is not love, it's emotional inflation, and when everything is available, nothing feels rare. So make your attention valuable again. Make your presence scarce, not because you're trying to play a game, but because you're done offering energy to someone who didn't protect it. And when she starts to feel that void, the one your presence used to fill, it won't be because you made her feel bad. It'll be because she realized what she lost when she thought you'd always be there. Your absence isn't cruelty, it's clarity. And if your connection was real, She will feel it. Chapter 8: How to Respond When She Reaches Out. Eventually, if the bond was real, she'll reach out. Maybe it's a simple, "Hey, how have you been?" Maybe it's a random comment on your story. Maybe she sends a song, a meme, or something that feels casual on the surface, but you'll know what it is. It's a ping, a test. She's not just trying to reconnect, she's trying to see who you are now without her. And this is the moment where most men fail. They get excited. They respond too quickly. They pour out everything they've been holding in. How much they've missed her, how hard it's been, how they never stop thinking about her. But here's the truth. That kind of reaction doesn't rebuild attraction. It reaffirms what made her pull away in the first place. If you want to shift the dynamic, you have to meet her message with calm, with clarity, with strength. That means no paragraphs, no long emotional confessions, no, "I was just thinking about you too," not because you're trying to be cold, but because you've grown, you've moved, you've evolved, and she's going to have to earn her place back into that new life. So when she reaches out, don't ignore her, but don't fall in. Keep it short, keep it grounded. Let her feel that you're not bitter, but you're not waiting either. You're doing just fine, you're busy, you're centered. Your world didn't fall apart because your worth was never tied to her response. If she really wants to reconnect, she'll make it clear. And if she's not ready to match your new standard, then you'll have the strength to keep walking. Because you're not here to relive the old dynamic. You're here to protect the man you've become. And that man doesn't chase. He chooses. Reinstate boundaries and stay in control. So she's back. She's texting again, asking to meet, maybe even saying she misses you. The temptation is real. You want to fall back into how things used to be, but don't. This is where the real test begins. Because the goal was never just to get her attention back, it was to shift the dynamic so that if she returns, it's on your terms. That means boundaries, and not the kind you mention once and forget. Real boundaries, the kind you enforce with your behavior, not your words. If she had full access to your time, your energy, your emotions, before, that has to change. She doesn't get to walk back into the same version of you she left. That man no longer exists. You've grown, and now she has to rise to meet that growth. You don't owe her immediate responses. You don't owe her hours of your day. You don't owe her vulnerability until she earns back trust and respect. And if she starts pulling the same patterns, disappearing, testing you, playing hot and cold, you don't tolerate it, you walk. Not with anger, with certainty. Because here's what's true. If you reward the same behavior that broke the connection in the first place, you train her to repeat it. But if you show her that you won't bend just to keep her around, she'll either adapt to your standard or remove herself. Either way, you win. Because love without respect isn't love, it's imbalance. And real connection only thrives when both people show up with mutual effort, mutual growth, and mutual accountability. So don't fall back into old habits. Don't let comfort fool you into lowering your bar. Let her see that you've changed, not by what you say, but by what you no longer allow. Because when a man has clear standards and enforces them with calm confidence, he doesn't just become attractive, he becomes undeniable. Chapter 10: The Man Who Doesn't Need Her to Come Back. By now, something in you has shifted, not just how you see her, but how you see yourself. Because here's the truth, the win isn't her coming back. The win is becoming the kind of man who no longer needs her to. The man she walked away from was still learning his worth, still unsure, still searching. But the man you're becoming now, the one who stood up from the wreckage, the one who didn't chase, the one who turned pain into power, that man is different. That man doesn't beg. He doesn't break. He doesn't let his identity hang on anyone else's approval. You see, the man she regrets losing isn't the one who flooded her with messages. It's the one who vanished into growth. The one who disappeared into his purpose, and returned with peace in his eyes. Not colder, but wiser. Not bitter, but clear. A man who doesn't need to prove anything, because now everything about him speaks for itself. And maybe she comes back, maybe she doesn't, but either way, you don't go back to who you were, because that man settled. That man waited. That man let someone else determine his value, and you've outgrown that version of yourself. So the goal was never about making her crawl back. It was about making yourself unshakable, quiet, focused, free. Not because you stopped caring, but because you started caring about the right things. Your peace, your progress, your path forward. You became the man who doesn't need validation, the man who doesn't wait for closure, the man who, even in heartbreak, learned how to stand taller. If you've made it this far, thank you, not just for listening, but for showing up for yourself. This message wasn't just about her, it was about you. It was about breaking the cycle, taking back your emotional power, and finally leading from within. So if this spoke to you, let it sink in. Revisit it when you forget who you are, and remember, you don't become high value by accident. You become it through choices, through silence, through growth that nobody applauds, until one day they all notice. And when they do, you won't be waiting for it. You'll already be gone, building the next version of yourself. Thank you for listening. Keep going.